Hello, 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 and welcome back to Grace in the In Between. My name is Lindsay, and I'm so honored to have you join me today. So, for today, I want to have a conversation about a story. I started with the scripture on Monday, and I just could not move past it the entire week. I read other scriptures throughout, but I kept coming back to this very scripture. And I've sat with it every day, even right up until this very morning. And this is about the story of the woman at the well, which is found in the Gospel of John. A story we are all familiar with. We've heard it on a Sunday morning, we've heard it at women's conferences, we study it at Bible study. But it was only this week that I really heard it. I heard it in my soul, in my heart, and I knew that I just had to share it. Because this woman comes to the well like she probably has many times before. She comes with her jar, ready to fill it. That was the plan. But after her encounter with Jesus, she leaves the jar. She leaves the very thing she came for. And I just couldn't move past that because it made me ask myself, what do I keep going back to, thinking it will finally fill me? What jars am I carrying that were never meant to satisfy me? And so I went further into it. I read all I could get my hands on about the woman at the well. And everything led me back to one word: longing. Words like longing, dependence, surrender, we may have all experienced them in some form and shape. And sometimes we struggle with these words. And I think the reason we struggle with words like dependence and surrender is because we first learned them through people. And we know people can fail us, people can hurt us, and people can let us down. So, what do? We associate dependence with weakness. We associate surrender with losing control. But with God, it's completely different. You see, longing was never meant to be something negative. On the surface, it can feel like dissatisfaction, like something is missing. But when you go deeper, longing is a holy tension, an inner stretching, a quiet pull that refuses to let you settle for less. Just like hunger tells your body that it needs food, and thirst tells your body it needs water, longing tells your soul that you were made for something more. It's not a flaw. Longing is a reminder. Because if you think about it, let's just pause here for a second. If we could fill ourselves, if we could meet every need we have ourselves, if we could quiet every ache, we would never go looking for God. And that's the power of longing. This isn't just something I've been thinking about. This is something I've lived. You see, after the loss of my son and subsequently a divorce many years ago, I was so lost. I was confused. I was hurt. I was broken. I was empty. And I tried everything to fill that space. I tried to distract myself. I tried getting hobbies. I thought I'd find it in people, in friendships. I just was looking for something to fill that emptiness, to fix that brokenness, to make everything make sense in my life. And, you know, God did something that I did not expect. Nobody expected, actually. He took me away. He took me away from everything I knew and everybody I knew. And He took me to a foreign land where nobody understood me. No one knew me. And for the first time ever, I was completely alone. And all I had was God. It was just me and God. And that longing I had been carrying, that ache, that searching, it didn't disappear, no. But it was finally met. Because I just stopped trying to fight it. I stopped trying to fix it. I stopped asking what if, but if, why, how, when, what. And I just surrendered. I surrendered completely, fully, wholeheartedly. I took all of my broken pieces and I placed them before God. And in that cold, foreign land, that's where He met me. That's where He restored me, piece by piece. I had carried my jars into that foreign land. I'd carried my loss, my burdens, my pain. But when I left, oh, after having that very personal encounter with Jesus again, in the dead of winter, when I left those jars there. Because I had found something else. I had found something real, something that actually filled me. And just like that woman, I ran to tell people, and I still am. And that's why this story means so much to me. Because when I look at her, I don't just see her, I see us all. She structured her life around her pain. She went when no one else would be there. In the middle of the day, in the scorching heat, she hid. She avoided people. She isolated herself, or was isolated. And yet, Jesus met her there. And you know what she did? She stayed. She didn't run. She lingered. She asked questions. And in that space, she experienced belonging. And Jesus saw her fully. And he didn't turn away. And that changes everything. Because after her encounter with Jesus, she left her jar and she went. Because when you are filled, you don't just receive, you overflow. You and I were never designed to fill ourselves. We were designed to receive and overflow. And that longing you feel, it's not something to run from. I'll never forget. I think I was there about a month and a half, and I was miserable. I cried myself to sleep every night because I was like, what am I doing here? I need to go home. And so the next morning, I messaged my dad and I sent him my WhatsApp location. And I was like, Daddy, come and fetch me. I'm done. I'm tired of this. And a few minutes later, or maybe an hour later, my mom called and she was like, Lindsay, your father is not flying 18 hours to come and fetch you. And I was so angry. I was so disappointed. But she and I knew that I had to be there. I couldn't run because I had a longing. And even after the conversation with my mom, I still try to fight it. I actually made myself more miserable. But then I surrendered completely. So that longing that you feel, don't run away from it. Because it's something pointing you back to the source, back to God. Because if we're honest, some of us are still going back to the same wells, hoping this time it will finally satisfy us. But all it's doing is leaving us empty again. We're scraping the bottle, trying to find something, anything, to meet a need that was never meant to be filled there. So I want to ask you, what are you still carrying? What jars are you holding onto that you already know? Because we know, deep down in our hearts, we know that they are not filling you. What do you keep going back to that only ever meets you halfway? It could be a friendship, a relationship, a situation, a job. These things that never meet you halfway, they only leave you feeling empty again and again and again. What have you been trying to draw from that was never meant to sustain you? I'm not asking this to call you out, no. And I'm not pushing you. But I am inviting you to be honest. Because that longing that you feel, it's not random. And it's definitely not weakness. It's pointing you back to God. So maybe this week, The question isn't just, what do I need to hold on to? But what do I need to leave behind? Because He is the true living well. He is the true living waters. And with God, you will never thirst again. Because it says in Scripture that it will be like a spring of water. And we need only believe it and receive it. And maybe that's what grace in the in-between really is. It's God meeting you in the middle, in the longing, in the becoming. I'm so grateful you spent this time with me today. And if this spoke to you, please share it with someone who you know might need it too. Or just take a moment this week and ask yourself, what am I carrying that I need to leave behind? Thank you for being here. This is Grace in the in-between, and I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. And I'll meet you here again very soon.